So last time we talked, we got into a lot of board stuff. I'd love to get into some more of that board, analyzation, and like we were talking about, who is it, Dominic Walker? That you did his board for. I love all that stuff. I think it's fascinating, So I don't know, maybe we should start off with our boards, take a look at them. Just to
and let's talk about
like I said, Paul, this is coming out in the next month or two. So
got a couple tools in my bag.
Jeron, why don't you go first? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. This is like an old Schmitt 6 team bag.
I love
you
that
couldn't
bag.
get one of these unless you were on the team.
They come in like
That's
86
dope,
or 87.
dude. I love that.
Exactly.
Vintage.
That's
Brings
why the
back
ink
a lot of memories
ink is
for
so
me.
cracked.
So Paul, while you get your tools, I'll just tell you real quick that this is the first board I have been involved with designing. Ever since a Shod Wares episode, I wanted a twin tail board.
Yeah.
So I took a board that I skated for Girl or Chocolate and had them make a twin paddle board, and they made a twin nose, twin tail, and a hybrid.
Okay.
The twin nose was a little too steep, too rounded, too much.
Okay.
The twin tail was a little too pointy, wasn't enough.
Okay.
The hybrid was perfect. So this is going to come out soon. This isn't the graphic or anything, but I've been riding it, testing it. These are also
Top
yeah. These are also
Coming soon.
recycled rails that
Yeah.
Chocolate is working on right now. So this is a complete prototype board.
All right.
But this is my setup right here. These are Thunders, but I skate for
That's your curb board,
Yeah,
correct?
but I skate for Independent.
Your curb board, correct?
That's my curb board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, he's analyzing it. He's holding it up straight. He's
all he
looking
skates
down
now.
the thing. He's seeing if it's
So if we look at the edge of the board, right, your
Yeah.
foot's touching the grip tape here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. The edge of your wheel, the riding surface, the dirty edge, right?
okay.
So that is probably about 3/8 from there. So if we look at this here, that goes pretty easy. Okay. If you can see your wheels, it's not going to go easy. It's going to be harder.
Sure.
But if you see your wheels and it's harder, when it does flip, it will flip faster.
Of
Okay?
course.
And
right.
and in this case here is you got the leveraging your curb board
Yeah.
to lean into the curb to get what you want because you have that distance. If you put a wider truck on here, it's not going to act the same.
Yeah, and that's my question because sometimes I see some curb guys, right, like Tim and this and that. Well, I mean, he's got like a 10-inch board. He's like, but then
Tim runs a 10-inch board with like 41s.
yeah, but you'll see these trucks that are longer, right? Because in your mind, you're like, okay, well, if I have longer trucks and they're looser, I can get up on the curb easier, right? And what you're saying, that's not even the case because it's harder to get up onto that curb with the wider.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that your leverage to get it to lean in
Yes.
is easier here.
Right.
The wider truck may or may not because your place you're connecting here in your wheel. When you're wider, your wheel's out here, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
it changes that angle. Just like the rails change the angle. If you put them in the middle of the board or on the side, it changes that contact
Yes,
point.
right.
Right?
And that's why with this board, I put the rails in a little closer together just to see how that reacts. You know,
Right.
so I experiment a little bit. Ever since your episode and talking to a Shot and all these people, I experiment a little bit, not as much as Raj by drilling, cutting out,
I'm always experimenting.
scooping out stuff and using 0.005 grit and grip tape.
It's all good.
But I experiment. I'm trying to get down to the
So in your
axle
mind,
and
is
the
this
trucks.
perfectly symmetrical in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. So aesthetically, it looks very symmetrical. Functionally, it's not.
What, Paul? Listen, I'm trying to sell these things.
No, not for bad. To be
Let me
clear.
get that back.
But you might want
Kelly, where's your board?
you might want to adjust it or you might not. Okay? Because if you're perfectly symmetrical in all aspects, it's like having a pocket knife of one blade.
Yeah.
If it's different on the other end, it's like a pocket knife with two blades.
Yeah, okay.
And when you understand the two blades, you can use the blades differently. So this board, when I look at fingers of flat here, and by the way, on Instagram, a lot of people complain like, use a tape measure. A tape measure isn't 3D. And because it isn't a hard line here, it's hard to tell. And then the reality is, I carry a tape measure all the time, but most people don't.
Yeah.
But if you're not carrying these, then they're not your tool anyways.
So
You've got to do two fingers,
Is
two
your-
toes or
that's the
something,
way,
right?
is your two fingers do we know what the width of that have you measured your two fingers?
They're roughly 3/4
3/4? Okay.
there, okay? But if I look at this finger, you see how this one is full flat all the way, right? And this one's full flat.
Yeah.
So this description comes from pro skaters in the early 90s because they were coming out of vert boards where the bolt holes are right on the bend. And they were like, I need more fingers of flat, right?
Right.
And so if I look at this one at the tail, you can see I got pretty much, this finger is half in the flat or 2/3 in the flat, and then it's in the curve, okay? But this one is like a quarter in the flat.
I could
Okay,
see that.
it's drilled
Right,
forward,
right,
which
right,
is always been a girl characteristic.
Yeah.
And an early 90s characteristic is you drill it forward because the tail you're using for behind your direction of momentum and the nose you're using in front of your direction of momentum.
But if we move that truck, the wheelbase changes.
Well, no, but that's the problem a little bit because ultimately the shape can change in 1/8 inch increments, lengths, wheelbase, easy,
Sure,
right?
okay.
Molds don't change in little increments like that because well, you could, but it'd be a lot of money,
Oh,
a lot of cost, right?
Gotcha.
Molds are expensive.
Very expensive, you know. But for instance, if I take this tool here, I call this tool a copycat.
Okay.
And I'm
Whoa,
looking
what are you
here.
going to do? You're going to take this home with you? You're going to recreate my board?
I'll be okay. I already know what it is. I can tell.
Whoa, what the heck? What is that called?
Okay, so we can see that it doesn't line up the same. It's a copy gauge. I call it a copycat because it lets me copy that surface, right? And judge what's going on.
Wow,
with
that's
it.
pretty sick.
So you're going off of the bolt. You're lifting up that little
Right,
metal piece where
right.
the bolt would go. Right.
Right.
So there you go.
Okay. So you see how that's behind there?
It's a little bit, yeah.
It's barely, but
It's bare, but it's
how-
funny that
how
your
you can
eyes.
tell-
Go ahead.
is this. It's harder to push here than it is here.
Interesting.
So try that. Try one end versus the other. And it's harder to press on the nose.
That board's not selling.
Oh,
This is the best board I've ever written.
That's great.
No, for real, for real. And it's funny because in my eyes, and listen, I've been doing this for a long time, Dubs. I can't tell that difference, right?
Right.
But you have a trained, skilled eye
Right.
that can actually see that without even using your fingers or anything. Just you, by just looking at it, could see the little nuances
Right.
of that. And I'm wondering, as you said, these molds are expensive, and I'm wondering if it's almost impossible to get a completely symmetrical board.
No, it's not. Well, beyond sanding, because the sanding of the board is like not machine process, it's hand. So it's a little
hand.
bit of variable
Okay.
no matter what.
Gotcha.
No matter what, there's a little bit of variable there.
I got to go change this whole board up.
I mean, you're less than a 60. Your tail's a 16th longer than your nose.
Okay.
But that to me is within woodworking tolerances. It's woodworking. Okay. It's
We got to
not
edit. We got to edit all this out of the show.
It's not
We gotta edit all this out.
casted titanium screws, medical grade, right? It's not that.
This ain't upselling your board at all?
Well, I don't know.
so you're saying the nose is bigger than the tail?
No, the tail's a hair longer than the
Oh,
nose.
okay.
But not
Which
much.
is kind of
but
the-
wait, if we check the razor tail on it, not really razor tail much.
No,
we could check it mathematically.
I love this.
So I got this tool here. So here's the result of the truck, the board, the wheel. Okay, well, I got to zero out. Not zeroed yet.
So this is an angle tool.
This is an angle tool. So this is 34.9.
That's amazing.
Okay, 34.9.
Dominic was yesterday 34, and we ended up getting to like 34.3. I didn't check the final board. He took it to the skate park, but he texted and said it worked really good. So I'll have to get his angle. Okay, there's 34.8.
Oh.
Yeah, I think your little angle thing is off.
Maybe the
You didn't
the
zero
board
that out,
shifted-
did you?
Maybe the board shifted in the mold.
No, well, the reality is it's not a casted titanium part. But as I said, those titanium screws weren't casted right. So
Right.
the reality is this is well within tolerance.
Yeah, that's of
But
course.
it's understanding that, right? But as you ride this board and you grind the tail down, sometimes the board doesn't feel right when it's new, and then a little bit is worn in. It's like, it feels really right because you ground the tail down enough to change it 0.2 and it put it in the zone that was a sweet
Right,
spot.
yeah.
And now you got your punch all the way. And then as the tail grinds down more, you're like, this thing's over. This thing's horrible because
Right.
you now did that, right? Or you broke your nanotubes.
Then-
There you go. There you go.
Or maybe you never had nanotubes.
Maybe
not.
get broken.
So there's a
Oh
little
my
trick here. I'll
gosh.
show you how to judge your nanotubes.
Okay. I'd love to know.
So you look there and see how light it is in color next to the black one. You see the layers next to
Yeah.
the black one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, you look
Okay.
the same from this way, right?
Right.
Okay. Now change
Yeah.
your perspective.
Okay.
The color change.
Yeah.
But it looks more greenish, actually.
Right,
Wait,
it's darker.
let's see.
Darker.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
Here it's
the?
lighter,
You're talking about the ply above the black ply.
right? Above and below.
Okay.
those are
Look at the
cross-
vertical ply.
Those are
Yeah.
the cross bands.
Right.
Okay.
Ah, a little darker.
So that's the grain going
yeah.
this way. So it's
Little
darker on the side,
Right.
lighter on the front.
Oh,
You know why?
because it's got something to do with the nanotubes.
Right. So it's sort of like, have you ever been to Mount Baldy?
No.
Okay. Well, if you go to a pipe
Maybe
and
I
you
have.
look into it,
Oh,
it's
no, I
really
haven't.
dark in there.
Right.
You know why the grains? There's thousands of tubes right here, and it's dark. And now you're looking at the side of the tube, and it's light.
Right. Yep.
And refresh people's memory or
would
what
never
for the nanotube.
Well, that's
You gotta tell people what the
right.
nanotube
So
is.
nanotubes are basically the cell structure on the outside of a tree. Trees have growth rings.
Mm-hmm.
The outside ring underneath the bark is the ring that's live and active when it's growing.
Okay.
Right. So in a maple tree, it's sort of growing spring to fall, and
Yeah.
then fall it goes dormant.
Okay.
And then that water freezes in there. The tubes become better formed because the water expands. Okay. And then it thaws out and pours out maple syrup. Again, the vascular of the tubes are just all the better, right? You know, so those are those tubes. So when you're looking at the end, they're dark. When you're looking at the side, they're light. So if you ever see a concrete pipe on a construction site, walk up to it, look from the side, go, the concrete looks really light. Look from the end, you go like, oh, it's dark in there. Even if it's just a 6-foot piece, right?
So a concrete thing has nanotubes?
well, maybe, I don't know.
Tubes.
But it's a tube. Why is that pipe a tube? Why don't they make square pipes or triangular pipes or octagon pipes?
It's a good question.
It's like looking at the side of a can versus looking down the barrel of the can.
I understand completely.
Right,
what
but
he's
even as a
saying.
can, why is the can round?
Yeah.
Because it supports itself. The energy spreads the energy load around it.
Right.
And the minute you take it to a different shape, energy always takes the path of least resistance. You make it a rectangle, it goes to the corner. You make it an octagon, it goes to that corner.
Right. Right.
Energy will guarantee go to the path of least resistance.
I'm just like, it's like I'm learning shit right now.
Yeah, I know. Dubs just came
Or it's being explained. I'm like, damn.
you just came from a family function,
Yeah.
like totally different, like opposite ends of the spectrum.
No,
right
but you
now.
saw it happen at the family function. Somebody spilled a drink, right? And it went out.
Right.
Why?
Spills out. And
Who
Energy
spilled the
takes
drink?
the path of
Elder
least
spilled it,
resistance,
yeah.
right?
energy
That
takes
liquid
over.
had energy and it flows out. Same thing.
Where is that like button right? Is it right here or right here?
Just a little scroll coming down the bottom.
It's
Subscribe.
over to it's on your
It's on my
left.
right? It's on
No,
my
on your
left.
left.
Hey,
Yeah.
hit that
there.
button right there.
Right there.
Right
Yeah,
there.
please.
The like button's kind of like in the middle there. It's like we're kind of
Oh, it's like
there.
right here?
Kind of.
Like right
and
there?
The subscribe's like over to the left.
It's like right over there. All right.